What would you do if the richest man in the room suddenly stopped eating, looked around in complete silence, and asked one question that changed someone's life forever? In a mansion filled with celebrities, CEOs, and world-famous chefs, billionaire Adrian Blackwood tasted a simple bowl of tomato soup. He slowly put down his spoon. Then he asked, "Who made this dish?" The head chef proudly stepped forward. But Adrian shook his head. "No, I want to know who actually cooked it." The entire dining room fell silent. No one dared to answer, until a young waitress quietly whispered, "I did, sir." What happened next shocked every guest in the room and began a love story no one could have imagined. Every Friday evening, Adrian Blackwood hosted an exclusive dinner at his luxurious estate. Only the city's wealthiest and most influential people received invitations. The food was always prepared by famous chefs, and every meal was expected to be perfect. That evening seemed no different. But after tasting the soup, Adrian's expression changed. He took another spoonful, then another, his eyes filled with emotion. "I asked," he repeated, "who made this dish?" The head chef, Marcel, looked confused. "I supervised the kitchen myself, sir." Adrian calmly shook his head. "I didn't ask who supervised it. I asked who cooked it." The room became painfully quiet. Standing near the back was a young waitress named Emily Carter. Her hands trembled as she stepped forward. I made it." The guests gasped. Even Chef Marcel looked shocked. Adrian slowly stood and walked toward her. "You?" Emily nodded nervously. "Yes, sir. My grandmother taught me the recipe." Adrian stared at the bowl before speaking again. "For 30 years, he said softly, I've searched for this taste." Everyone watched in silence. "My mother used to make tomato soup exactly like this before she passed away. When I was 12, his voice cracked with emotion. "I've hired the best chefs in the world, but no one could recreate it." He looked into Emily's eyes. "Until tonight." Emily felt tears forming. "I didn't know," she whispered. Adrian smiled for the first time that evening. "That's because this isn't just soup. It's a memory." After dinner, Adrian invited Emily into the library. She feared she was about to lose her job. Instead, he offered her a cup of tea. "Tell me about yourself." Emily explained how she had once dreamed of becoming a professional chef. She had enrolled in culinary school but left after her father became seriously ill. The medical bills forced her to quit and work as a waitress instead. "I never stopped loving cooking," she admitted. "I just stopped believing my dream could come true." Adrian listened quietly. Then he opened a drawer and handed her a business card. "I own several restaurants," he said. "I'd like to pay for you to finish culinary school." Emily stared at him in disbelief. In return, Adrian continued, "When you graduate, I'd like you to become the executive chef of my newest restaurant." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "You'd really do that for me?" He smiled. "I think your grandmother's recipe deserves to be shared with the world." Without hesitation, Emily accepted. A year later, Emily graduated at the top of her class. As promised, Adrian opened a beautiful restaurant overlooking the river. He named it Grandma Rose, after Emily's grandmother. The restaurant quickly became famous. Its signature dish wasn't an expensive steak or exotic seafood. It was a simple bowl of roasted tomato soup. Food critics praised it for something they couldn't quite explain. One reviewer wrote, "It tastes like childhood, served warm." Reservations filled months in advance. But success wasn't the only thing growing. Each week, Adrian visited the restaurant. At first they talked about recipes, then books, then family. Eventually they found themselves laughing together long after the restaurant had closed. One rainy evening, a power outage left the dining room lit only by candles. Instead of going home, Adrian and Emily cooked a simple dinner together. Fresh bread, homemade pasta, and of course, tomato soup. There were no wealthy guests, no photographers, no business meetings, just two people enjoying each other's company. It became their favorite tradition. 1 year later, Adrian invited Emily back to Blackwood Manor. This time there were no celebrities, only close friends and family. After dinner, they walked through the moonlit garden. Adrian stopped beneath an old oak tree. "The first time I tasted your soup," he said, "I thought I'd found a memory." He reached into his pocket and took out a small velvet box. But instead, I found the person I want to make new memories with. He knelt on one knee. Emily Carter, will you marry me? Emily's eyes filled with happy tears. Yes, the guests erupted into applause. Even Chef Marcel smiled proudly. Months later, they were married in a beautiful ceremony filled with family, laughter, and love. Instead of serving extravagant gourmet dishes, every table received a small bowl of roasted tomato soup. Many guests wondered why. Only Adrian and Emily knew. It wasn't just a recipe. It was the dish that reunited one man with a treasured memory, gave one young woman her dream back, and brought two lonely hearts together. Together, they later created scholarships for aspiring chefs who couldn't afford culinary school. Inside every acceptance letter was the same message. Talent opens the door, kindness keeps it open, and when you cook with love, every meal becomes a memory. Sometimes love doesn't begin with flowers or grand speeches. Sometimes it begins with a single question. Who made this dish? And one brave answer. I did. Because one simple bowl of soup changed two lives forever and proved that the greatest recipes are written not with ingredients, but with love.